What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 9PQ. Chapter 201 Return to East Blue. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Your Majesty, New World is in complete chaos now. Except for some big pirates who don't like the excitement and fame, everyone else is basically targeting Whitebeard and the four of them. But Whitebeard should be the best to deal with now, right? Barrow looked at the newspaper and said, I have to say that these reporters are really powerful. They have dug out the movements of major pirates in New World. They are really not afraid of death, but this is equivalent to their jobs. The better the news, isn't it becoming more popular? Barrow, you are wrong this time. Whitebeard is not the easiest one to deal with, but the most difficult one. Even though I still have his shock fruit ability, the people under him are not vegetarians. The same is true for him himself. His body is very strong and cannot be compared to ordinary people. Activating shock fruit like that will consume a huge amount of 657 physical strength. Whitebeard will not die so easily. Yang Feng shook his head and said, Whitebeard may be able to dodge for a month, but after 1 month, the end will come for those who attack him. A sea earthquake can completely solve it. Even Whitebeard is the existence of Grandmaster Conqueror's Haki. Conqueror's Haki alone is not something ordinary people can contend with. But these have nothing to do with us. By the way, how long did it take to get to Upside Down Mountain? I have been building the Ice Palace in the past few years. It has taken too long. I haven't gone back to see Sister Belmere and the others for a long time. Quote. Yang Feng said with a trace of longing in his eyes. People tend to forget when they are busy with things. He had always wanted to go back to East Blue, but only now did he find the time to implement this plan. Happiness, at the current speed, we will arrive in 2 days. After all, warships cannot fly as fast as us. Barrow nodded and said, 2 days, no less than 2 days. After all, it has been almost half a month since we got here from New World. This is still a top-level warship. Otherwise, it would probably take a month. This world is really big enough. Quote. I have to say that this world is really big, and it actually takes so long to go back and forth, and that's not even the diameter. If we go across the diameter, even the best ship would probably take several months. Master, do you want some juice? I have freshly squeezed juice here. Advertisement. While the two were talking, a coquettish voice sounded. It's Baby 5. If there is freshly squeezed juice, please have one. After taking a look at the owner of the voice, Yang Feng naturally knew who it was. When the baby was brought by Brother Ming's people, Yang Feng took him in directly. By the way, he was trained as a maid. Now she can be said to be his personal maid. I'm so happy. Are you needed? Baby 5 instantly hugged his chest and screamed, as if he was confessed, leaving Barrow and Yang Feng speechless for a while. Yes, it is indeed needed, but it is not you, but the juice in your hand. Yang Feng said speechlessly, he clearly didn't teach her like Brother Ming, so why did she still become like this? Of course, Yang Fengji also ignored her own capital. Integrating the power of the Spirit King. Plus his body had just grown to about 16 years old, he was directly transformed into a more beautiful boy, so that wherever he went, he had a very high rate of turning heads, and some people even married him according to the reward offered to him. Think about it, there is no one left. And Baby 5, who is facing such a handsome young man every day, how can she think about finding other boyfriends, so much so that she keeps pestering Yang Feng and becomes Yang Feng's full-time maid. Baby 5, you are so cunning. You actually came to Brother Yang Feng secretly. Do you want to sneak away? A little lowly chased out and said with a very unhappy look on her face. At this moment, Sugar was already in her teens, but her body stayed at the age of 6 or 7 because of the childlike fruit. She is just a little lowly. That's right, Baby 5, if you do this again, I will let Sugar turn you into a toy, so that the young master will completely forget about you. Monet chased him out with an angry look on his face. The three of them had agreed to compete together, but Baby 5, who had just played the game well, slipped away while the two of them kept coming and came here to give them fruit. Advertisement. Really, I was discovered by you, so forget it, young master, you will definitely need me next time. After saying that, Baby 5 returned to the cabin obediently, and Sugar and Monet also stared at the baby with wary expressions. After all, Baby 5 played in uniform temptation, even though one of them is a mature woman. But compared to Robin, the mature woman is obviously nothing. As for the little Lolita, she is indeed cute and makes people feel very pitiful. She is the first choice of old uncles who claim to have earned the death penalty for 3 years, but Yang Feng is obviously no. So Monet and Sugar felt that their advantage was getting worse and worse as time went by, so that both of them were keeping an eye on their opponents to prevent them from sneaking away, which is how it is now. Your Majesty, why don't you collect them all at once? In this case, you can also create a little prince. Barrow suddenly said, which shocked Yang Feng. This guy's level of escape was really great, but to be honest, it wouldn't be a problem even if he took them all in. After all, he was an emperor now. But to be honest, he doesn't like the foundation of no relationship. Although he has maintained ambiguous relationships with several people in the past few years, he has not made a breakthrough to the last step, so he feels that he can wait and he still has enough time. Okay, there's no need to talk about this matter anymore, and Barrow, do you think it's possible to give birth to a child at my level? The higher the level of life, the more difficult it is to give birth to offspring. At this moment, he is already at the top of the world, and has even integrated part of the power of the Spirit King, and has become the Grand Master of the armed color and knowledge color of this 0.7 world. His current strength can be said to have surpassed the strength of Yhwach in his heyday, but no one gave him a test. The offspring born from such a life level are also extremely terrifying, with first-class talents and so on, so to be honest, he doesn't think the world will give birth to a child for him here, because the talents are too heaven-defying. Unless you go to some higher world, it is impossible to follow here. Such a small world is still too restrictive. That's true. It's very difficult for His Majesty to give birth to offspring at his level of life. Barrow also nodded, and stopped talking about this matter. It was boring. Because he couldn't have a child, he naturally didn't need to continue talking about it. Advertisement. Chapter 202 Mutation. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Your Majesty, there is Upside Down Mountain ahead. After passing Upside Down Mountain, you can reach East Blue. Then you will be able to meet your Majesty's relatives, but there seems to be some problems now. Barrow looked at the Upside Down Mountain in the distance and said, because something bad seems to have appeared in the direction of the Upside Down Mountain. There is indeed an accident. This thing looks unexpectedly familiar. Yang Feng's eyes narrowed. At this moment, there were two huge snail warships in front of the Upside Down Mountain. No, they shouldn't be called snail warships. They should be called towns. There was a town above the snails. There are two different buildings on the two snail battleships. As soon as Yang Feng saw this thing, he was sure that it was Germa 66. The Vinsmoke family in North Blue also conquered the existence of North Blue with their helplessness. Of course, this family is also Sanji's family. They are usually scattered, but once they are combined, they form a huge country. Of course, it is also the only country that does not have a fixed base and can walk on the sky and sea at any time. Furthermore, this family is very scary, because they use genetic technology. It can be said that except for Sanji, there is no normal person in the entire Germa 66. They are like the modern image of the old American 01, who have been playing with genes and playing with each other. Transformed. But they succeeded. Almost all of them were artificial humans, all powerful beings from the era. Sanji was tortured by his father Vinsmoke Judge and others because of his lack of talent. Yang Feng does not say that what this country does is disgusting. After all, people are pursuing power. In order to pursue power and rights, many people can sacrifice a lot of themselves, but Judge sacrificed his feelings and became only ambitious. It shouldn't be good news that these two snail boats are staying here at this moment. Anyone who comes, stop here. This place has been temporarily controlled by the Vinsmoke family and we. If you want to pass, please wait until our control is over, otherwise you will be responsible for the consequences. Yang Feng and others had just arrived below when they were stopped by two snail boats, and the people on them kept threatening everyone, which made everyone speechless. Are these guys blind? They didn't even look at the flag. Who in the entire sea can stop an existence like their invisible empire? It's simply impossible. Advertisement. Barrow, I leave it to you, just remember to leave a few alive for me, and I will kill all the others. Yang Feng, it doesn't matter whether you are a Germa 66 or a Vinsmoke, the person who dares to block the invisible empire ship has not been born yet. Now that you are here, then don't leave. After receiving Yang Feng's order, Barrow rose into the sky and flew towards the snail ship. D Barrow, wait for me, how can such a fun thing happen without me? Gerald also followed quickly. He would not let go of the opportunity he finally had to take action. He was already a little tired of sailing on the sea for so many days, so he naturally rushed forward as soon as he had fun. Master George, someone is flying over from the opposite ship. The man in charge of the two Germa 66s is an artificial man and a person with emotions. He was given the name George by Judge. He is considered a member of the Vinsmoke family and is also one of the pillars of the Vinsmoke family. There are people who dare to come here. And they can fly. Is it the demon fruit power? Or is it someone who has learned Marine 6 styles? No matter. You guys, beat them down hard. If you dare to disobey our Vinsmoke family, the order must die. George didn't care about this. The order he received was that no matter who came, they could not pass through the Upside Down Mountain, so they blocked the road here. During this time, they blocked many ships and even sunk them. Phew. It's ridiculous. You dare to fire in the face of our invisible empire. Holy destruction. Barrow condensed a large number of bullets and shot them out disdainfully. The flying shells were completely blown up, and many of the attacks reached the Germa 66 snail ship, and smoke suddenly filled the air. You D, you still dare to attack us. If you continue to attack, I will make them worse than death. George had never suffered such a blow since he got his name. He immediately gave up and ordered people to fire immediately. The two sides immediately began to choose a route to fight. Gerard's side was much simpler. He directly transformed into a behemoth. With one kick, the world crushed the entire Germa 66. The fragments of the stage continued to sink into the sea, and then Gerard easily fished it out. A lot of people were fished out, and they are considered alive. Advertisement. Barrow, stop playing around. It would be bad if His Majesty is angry. Kill them all quickly. Gerard yelled at Barrow when he went back, and Barrow's eyes instantly became serious. I'm sorry, Your Majesty might be angry if it takes too long, so I ask you to die first. After saying that, countless spirit bullets erupted from Barrow's gun, which exploded upon contact. The entire Germa 66 was instantly blown into ruins. Then Barrow found George in the ruins and left with George. One shot sank the Germa 66, which was already in ruins. Barrow, it's too slow. Look at how lousy has brought so many people. I think I won this time. Gerald said with a smile on his face. It's up to you, but the guy the first have 280 is the leader this time, so he should be the person your majesty needs. After saying that, Barrow brought George to Yang Feng. At this moment, George had not recovered yet. He couldn't believe that his Germa 66 was just gone and killed by someone. But it took 2 men to sink them all. What's your name? Vinsmoke. Yang Feng asked George his name. My name is Vinsmoke George, which was given to me by his majesty. Who are you? Do you know the consequences of attacking our Vinsmoke family? George still yelled without giving up, as if he wanted to see the other person's scared expression, but he was disappointed. Yang Feng didn't care about the Vinsmoke family at all, they were just trash. Vinsmoke family, I'm really sorry for the collision. Now let me introduce myself. I am Yang Feng, the leader of the Invisible Empire. Do we know the consequences of your collision? Yang Feng's eyes became dangerous as he spoke, and his expression when he looked at George was not very good. George was so frightened that he only had 7 words left in his mind. That was to offend the Invisible Empire. Advertisement. Chapter 203. Attacking East Blue. Please subscribe. Advertisement. The leader of the Invisible Empire Yang Feng. The cells in George's body are constantly trembling. He is an artificial human of the Vinsmoke family, but he is also the first artificial human to have his own consciousness. There was an accident when Vinsmoke Judge created him. As a result, the cloned person had his own intelligence instead of a dead soldier, so Judge finally gave him the name George and included him in the Vinsmoke family. Although he had his own intelligence at the beginning, he was completely loyal to the Vinsmoke family. This was the setting at the beginning, so he was included in the list of the Vinsmoke family by Judge, but to put it bluntly, he was still a dog. That's right, Invisible Empire. Now please tell me clearly what kind of aircraft your Vinsmoke family is doing here, otherwise I can't guarantee whether your Vinsmoke family will be destroyed by me. Yang Feng's nonchalant words made George's heart collapse. He was probably the only person who could speak so brazenly about destroying the most powerful country in North Blue. He was probably the only one who still had a few powerful beings. I said, please forgive our Vinsmoke family for being unreasonable this time, and we will definitely give you an apology gift. George kneeled on the ground and said loudly, but his eyes were full of fear. He knew that the world government could not do anything to this invisible empire, let alone their Vinsmoke family. They would be destroyed by you in a minute. Stop talking nonsense and tell us your purpose quickly. Why is there so much nonsense? Gerald yelled angrily. He had been listening to this guy crying and howling, and he became irritated, so he yelled loudly. Yes, actually this time the Vinsmoke family came from North Blue to attack the East. Saying this, George's face was suddenly filled with a look of horror, not for anything else, but because he remembered that East Blue seemed to be the territory of the Invisible Empire, and Yang Feng's condition at the beginning was to take over the East and West Seas. Marine can be among them, but they must obey their orders, just like a civil organization must obey the state, it's that simple. Why didn't you say it? Did you forget it? It doesn't matter if you forget it. Let me help you think about it. Is Vinsmoke Judge, a war madman, planning to knock down East Blue? North Blue is no longer enough to satisfy his ambitions. Advertisement. Yang Feng said with a hint of chill in his eyes. He didn't expect that he would encounter such a thing when he went to East Blue on a whim. But he also remembered that when he was reading the comics, there was a memory in Sanji where Vinsmoke brought his Germa 66 to attack East Blue. Unfortunately, it failed. Sanji was also rescued by his sister at this time and let out. He also met Vinsmoke Judge on the way. However, at that time, Judge still had some humanity, so he let Sanji go when he saw him escaping, but he was not allowed to say that he was from the Vinsmoke family, thinking it was a shameful act. That's why Sanji appeared in East Blue at that time. He didn't know when the Vinsmoke family attacked East Blue, but he only knew that Sanji was still a little kid at that time. If you count the time now, Sanji was indeed a little kid. George could no longer find an excuse to explain that he was caught attacking someone else's territory. In fact, Judge knew about Yang Feng in East Blue County. But when he saw that Yang Feng and others had been staying in New World for so many years without even asking about East Blue, he naturally became bolder and rushed over with his own people to attack East Blue. And in order to prevent his plan from going wrong, he also placed 2 Germa 66s here to prevent some people from disturbing him. In his knowledge, the name of their Vinsmoke family is not small, and they should all give it to him. It's all about saving face. But he never expected that Yang Feng would return to East Blue at this time, and his subordinates did not recognize him, so it ended up like this. No need to explain. Throw him into the sea to feed the fish, and we will head to East Blue. Yang Feng was too lazy to catch this guy, and then Gerald had a cruel smile on his face, grabbed these guys and threw them away directly. Except for George, all the people he had picked up before were also thrown out. Whether they would die or not depended on their own fate. Advertisement. As for whether these people will have some adventures and cause trouble for themselves, please, this is not a fantasy novel world. They encounter the inheritance of the grandfather at every turn. This world has protagonists, and these guys can do nothing even if they survive. This kind of thing is really strange. It can actually turn the seawater back. No wonder it is called Upside Down Mountain. This is the first time I have seen it. Gerald looked at the rising ship and didn't know what to say. Masco, Grammy and others also looked curious. They couldn't see this kind of thing in the Shinigami world. Strictly speaking, the Shinigami world is a normal world structure, and such weird things are indeed rare to see. Soon, the ships hit East Blue. This time, they were not unlucky enough to encounter other ships. Otherwise, they would have to destroy each other's ships for their own. However, after entering East Blue, they saw the two gels of the Vinsmoke family. Horse 66. It's even here. It seems like this guy is determined to take down East Blue. I don't know where he got the courage. Quote. Yang Feng looked surprised at this moment. As the saying goes, if you don't seek death, you won't die. Now Judge's behavior is obviously seeking death. East Blue's territorial rights are originally his, even if he doesn't care, isn't it still his? Where did Judge get the confidence to rashly attack an empire that has the power to compete with the world government? Holy destruction. Wang Lihao. Yang Feng was too lazy to continue asking. Anyway, the Vinsmoke family must have made a big noise when they came in. He planned to go to Logtown first, and the Germa 66 here would be directly destroyed. Countless sacred annihilations bombarded Germa 66 one after another. They didn't even know what happened, and they were destroyed in the end. It has to be said that compared to those existences in the New World, the so-called Vinsmoke family is really so vulnerable. This seems to be a powerful country, but since it has never encountered a strong enemy, it is estimated that if a few admiral levels take action together, this country will be gone. It looks extremely powerful, but it has no high-end combat power at all. Going to Logtown, I need to know the Vinsmoke family's route of action, and then destroy them. A trace of cruelty flashed in Yang Feng's eyes. If the Vinsmoke family did something they shouldn't have done, he would kill these guys. Advertisement. Chapter 204 Return to Kokoa Village. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Yang Feng's fleet of more than a dozen huge warships headed to Logtown in a mighty manner. They saw many pirates along the way. During this time, due to the Invisible Empire occupying East Blue, marine rights were restricted. Pirates took advantage of this opportunity and began to rise. The entire East Blue can be said to be a bit like the era of great pirates, but it is a pity that they are not good people, they are all a bunch of garbage. Just when they went to Logtown, they encountered 3 waves of pirates, but seeing that these pirates came for robbery, he killed them all directly. There was no need to leave such a scourge behind. After logging into Logtown, he took his people directly to Logtown. Smoker hadn't arrived yet, so he probably wouldn't be transferred here for another year or 2. I don't know what Marine is thinking, but he let a Logia fruit user be buried in a place like this for 10 years. I'm drunk just thinking about it. After all, it's Logia. Well, there are no garbage fruits, only garbage ability users. No matter what Logia fruit is developed well, it will be a very powerful existence. Of course, Paramesha seems to dominate so far. Colonel Marine, tell me the direction of Germa 66, and you, Marine, are you a bit rubbish? The Vinsmoke family invaded East Blue and you didn't care. 513 inches. Yang Feng looked at the nervous Colonel Marine in front of him with a speechless expression. This guy had been in this nervous state for several minutes since he saw him. This is not our fault. We have mobilized the entire East Blue Marine and also requested support from the headquarters Marineford. However, East Blue and West Blue are a bit special because it was brought under its banner, so the forces of the world government couldn't interfere too much, so it ended up like this. Colonel Marine is sweating coldly. He is also a colonel and not a fool. He naturally knows that the world government is fighting against the invisible empire, but he wants to cry now. Don't let the fight between you gods bring harm to a little shrimp like me. I see, world government's excuse is really good enough, but he is right, I should manage my own territory, but you Marines think this is rotten. Yang Feng shook his head and said, it's not that he cares about Marine's help, but that Marine's existence was originally to maintain the peace of the sea. It should be an independent organization in itself, but now it is under the control of the world government and is ignored. What a disappointment. Advertisement. Talking about justice is just a bunch of rubbish. Okay, I won't bullshit you anymore. I'm leaving first. Remember to say hello to Sengoku for me. I know you want to contact him. After Yang Feng finished speaking, he left with a bored expression. Logtown was just the place where he obtained information. Judging from the navigation chart, the Vinsmoke family should attack the center first and then spread out to the surroundings. This style of play is actually very convenient. Correct. After all, the Vinsmoke family is a super powerful force in North Blue, let alone the weakest one in East Blue. However, these East Blue kingdoms naturally will not sit still and wait for death. He sent out his own army. Of course, it's useless at all. Their technology can even be used to clone humans, and each one has undergone genetic modification. This shows how terrifying these guys are. Dealing with the weakest sea is not a problem at all. Ignore these guys for now, they can still pester the Vinsmoke family for a while, so let's go back to Kokoa village first. In fact, Yang Feng had already sent hundreds of shadow guards back to Kokoa village to protect Belmir and others, and the shadow guards would naturally pass news back at any time, so he could stay in the new world with peace of mind. As the saying goes, the world is not as big as the family. Belmir is his sister and naturally considered his relative. Therefore, even if the entire East Blue is destroyed, he will not feel anything as long as nothing happens to his family. Perhaps his own personality was infected a little by Yhwach, and he became a little domineering, a little unreasonable, and a little cold-blooded. In the past, he might have been angry when he saw his wife and children separated, but now he is indifferent. However, he still retains the friendship with his companions and relatives. He is still him, Yang Feng, not Yhwach. The entire East Blue is not that big, and it took them a little more than a day to reach the outside of Kokoa village at the speed of their top-level warships. At this moment, above Kokoa village, policeman Aegean was looking at the sea on a shelf outside the village and lamenting the leisure of this day. Advertisement. But suddenly he saw more than a dozen steel beasts appearing outside in an instant, and they rushed towards Kokoa village with great force, frightening Jian out of his wits. Generally speaking, whether they saw pirate ships or merchant ships, they were all made of wood. They had never seen such a pure steel giant ship, let alone so many gathered together. Jian was immediately frightened, had to fall off the chair. After that, he quickly rushed to the village and sounded the alarm. The huge bell spread to every corner of the village. What's going on? Why is the alarm bell ringing? Is someone targeting our Kokoa village? Many people looked up in confusion. The alarm bell was originally set up to prevent foreign enemies. Now that the alarm bell rings, everyone's first thought is to disbelieve it. People are like this, they will subconsciously avoid danger, even their thoughts are the same. Belmere, what's wrong? Did something happen outside? A little loli with orange hair asked the mature woman next to her, and then she was slapped on the head by the mature woman. Nami, how many times have I told you to call me mom, not just by my name? Why can't you remember it after so many years? You should learn from your sister Nuauchi, she is very well behaved. Belmere looked at Nami helplessly and said, and behind her was another little loli with blue hair who looked much quieter than the one with orange hair. These three people are naturally Belmere, Nami and Nuauchi. Nami's character is still more out of the box, while Nuauchi is more gentle. Everything is the same as the original work. The only difference is that Belmere is rich and not a pauper. Yang Feng left tens of millions of belly to her at the beginning. Most people can't use all this money even if they live for 20 years. Not to mention that Belmere has been selling oranges. According to her, it is better to sell oranges even if they are left alone. He is not a luxurious woman, so he naturally knows how to sit back and have nothing, so he sells them. Tangerine. Advertisement. Chapter 205. The Alert Kokoa Village, please subscribe. Advertisement. HMPH, Belmere, you have always been partial. You are only nice to Sister Noki Gao, but you are cruel to me. Nami covered her head and shouted with annoyance, but they are still young now, so naturally they don't know why. Children's intelligence is not yet complete, and they don't know what they have done that is normal. It is possible for a child who was very out of the box in childhood to become well-behaved and quiet when he grows up, but childhood is the best time period when his true self can be revealed. Nami, forget it, you and Nuo Chigao hide in the house. I'll go out and take a look. Since Aegean has sounded the alarm bell, something will happen. But the alarm bell hasn't sounded for several years. Belmere picked up the rifle in her hand with a serious face and was about to leave, but just as she was about to leave, she was held by two pairs of small hands. Don't go to Belmere, it's very dangerous outside. Even though Nami is just a child, she also knows the consequences of the alarm bell ringing. There must be danger. This is what she told her when she was chatting with Aegean. She still clearly remembers Aegean's words. Little Nami, have you seen this bell? Don't touch it when you are naughty in the future, because it will be rung only when everyone's life is in danger. In the past, every time it was rung, someone died, so don't touch it easily. At that time, Nami was only a little over 4 years old and didn't know anything. When she saw the big clock, she wanted to play with it, but she was discovered by Ken, and he told her a lot, she couldn't understand. But after 2 years, her intelligence was almost fully developed. This is the case in the pirate world. For example, she was only 10 years old when Arlong came, but she also knew how to sacrifice herself for the whole village. Going to sea to become a hated little thief cat, such pressure is placed on a 10-year-old girl. It must be said that it is really cruel. The precocious children in this world are more similar to those in the Hokage life. Now Nami is about to be 7 years old. Belmere has designated the day they picked them up as their birthday. In a few days, it will be Nami's 7th birthday, which is also Nokigao's birthday, but Nokigao seems to be older than Nami. 2 years old. I said it was all the baby's fault. I'm sorry. Now that the alarm bell is ringing, they naturally know what the alarm bell means. When the alarm bell rings, it means someone is dead, so who is this person? They don't want Belmere to die. Don't worry, I will come back safely. You should quickly go into the house and hide. Advertisement. After saying that, Belmere left with the rifle, but Nami wanted to chase him, but was caught by Nokigao, who took him back to the supplies and hid them. The alarm bell hasn't sounded for several years, and I don't know what will happen this time. Even though there was no worried look on Belmere's face, she was panicking inside because she still had two children who needed someone to take care of her. What if her child died? In fact, it's not that I haven't thought about the alarm in the past few years, but it was solved by the shadow guards. Once a pirate approaches this place, they will be attacked by the shadow guards. The strength of the shadow guards is considered to be an elite soldier in the New World. Here it was even said that dealing with million-level pirates is just like playing. And how many pirates are there in the entire East Blue? There are millions of pirates. There are only 3 or 2 of them. How can they encounter them so easily? So all the pirates who came here in the past were wiped out by them. Soon, all the villagers with fighting capabilities came to the center of the village with weapons. Aegean, what happened? Why did you hit Shangzong? Yes, you should tell me quickly and stop the ink stains. After the villagers gathered together, they screamed at the policeman Aegean, but they were quickly suppressed by Aegean. Everyone, please be quiet. I just saw a dozen large ships coming towards Kokoa village from the watchtower outside the village. The enemy this time is definitely unprecedented, so everyone, get ready to come with me. Quote. After saying that, Aegean took the lead and led everyone to the coast. In fact, it would be the same wherever he fought. In this case, it is better to give the enemy a fatal blow when he disembarks from the boat. Soon, hundreds of people came to the woods on the coast, but their faces changed after seeing the dozens of huge steel ships outside. Especially Belmere, her expression changed in an instant. She knew very well that such a giant steel ship could only have such a configuration for Marine's top warships. These dozen giant ships must belong to some kind of force. Zero, please give me flowers. Advertisement. In fact, it is also Yang Feng's fault. The warship is originally as dark as ink, and the flag is also black. As a result, the star pattern on it cannot be seen clearly. This is embarrassing. People are shocked when they see the ship. Who will look at it? What a flag. So it was not recognized at all. Soon, Yang Feng's main ship slowly left the team and headed for Kokoa village, and the other members of the Star Cross Knights also came to the main ship one by one. After all, this time they wanted to see the one he wrote. Sisters and relatives. Here we come, everyone is ready. If they make any changes, we will take action. But fortunately, there is only one ship here. If it is not very strong, we can keep them. Jian roared in a low voice, and the others immediately tightened their weapons. Only Belmere kept smiling bitterly. He reminded everyone that they were doing useless work, but now it is a matter of life and death, so let's give it a try. This is really a flood that has washed away the Dragon King Temple. Yang Feng has already sensed that there is a group of people hiding on the shore who are preparing to deal with him. Now he blames the fact that the news in the world is not very developed. No one here knows that he is a big force in the new world. Just like Shanks in Windmill Village, he was bullied by bandits. Think about it, no one else. You guys should follow me later to avoid misunderstanding. In desperation, Yang Feng could only go down first and let others follow him. Look, someone is coming down, but why does this person look so familiar? A villager asked in confusion. When he said this, the others' eyes widened. The leader was indeed very familiar, but they just couldn't remember who it was. Belmere, isn't this your brother? Jian has good eyesight and discovered this problem in an instant. But when he thought about it carefully, he thought it was a bit impossible. However, the more he looked at Yang Feng's face, the more familiar he felt. Jian still asked his question. He believed that Belmere, this older sister, will definitely know her younger brother, no matter how big the change is. Advertisement. Chapter 206 Reunion. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Okay. It seems to be Yang Feng, but after all, 6 or 7 years have passed, and I'm not sure whether it's him or not. After all, Belmere and Yang Feng are not biological siblings, so when they meet Yang Feng, they can't help but not recognize him. At that time, Yang Feng was just a little kid, but now this young man looks like a powerful person at first glance. Everyone, come out. It must be hard for you hiding in the woods, right, Sister Belmere? Yang Feng shouted into the woods with a smile on his face. He had already heard the conversation between them just now, and he could hear it clearly. His 5 senses were no longer suitable for humans, so hearing these the sound is a breeze. It's really Yang Feng, Yang Xiaozi. By 2 inches. Aegean and Belmere immediately screamed when they heard the sound. The sentence, 30-20, Sister Belmere allowed them to confirm Yang Feng's identity. However, the two of them ignored their own horror and quickly ran out of the woods with everyone. Since everyone said it was Yang Feng, they would not lie to themselves. After all, the two of them looked so similar. Are you really Yang Feng's brother? Belmere still confirmed in a low voice. After all, the sudden huge formation was indeed a bit scary. Of course, it has only been a few years. Sister Belmere, don't you remember me? Yang Feng said with a smile on his face, but this cannot be blamed on Belmere. He has changed a bit. He was a loser before, but now he is like a king. The gap between the two is absolutely huge. You brat, where have you been for so many years? It's so irritating that you haven't even come back once. Well, the unexpected reunion did not include any warm hugs, but only a lot of scoldings. Ha 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 ha, as expected, Sister Belmere, your character is still like this. I thought you would definitely give me a big hug and say welcome back, but in that case, you would not be you, Sister Belmere. Yang Feng is not used to hugging anything. On the contrary, Belmere's method is the one he is most familiar with. Belmere is actually a tomboy, otherwise she wouldn't be a marine. She has a very strong personality and is not good at expressing her feelings. She always likes to treat people she recognizes in a strict way. But this is the Belmere sister he is familiar with. Advertisement. Really, it's really outrageous to dismantle your sister as soon as she comes back. Belmere's face immediately turned red. When she saw the expressions on the faces of the people around her, she wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl in. She also knew that her personality was very tomboyish. But there is no way, this is a habit developed in Marine in the past. Ahem, let's all leave. The crisis is over. Don't disturb the reunion of the two siblings. Do whatever you need to do when you go back. Aegean coughed a few words and then left with everyone. After all, this was a family matter. He and others were outsiders, so it was better not to get involved. Huh, I'm finally gone. You brat, You won't come back for a few years or even wait for a letter to come back. When you come back, you make me so embarrassed. But I still have a message for you, welcome back. Although Belmere can't express his feelings, he can still say such words. A welcome back is more important to Yang Feng than anything else. I'm back, Sister Belmere, but I need to correct one thing. Yang Feng said with a smile, nothing makes people happier than meeting again. What's the matter? Belmere was stunned for a moment, not knowing what Yang Feng wanted to express. What I want to correct is that although I haven't come back these years, I have always paid attention to Sister Belmere. As he spoke, Yang Feng clapped his hands twice, and suddenly countless black shadows emerged from the surrounding woods. Belonging to the Invisible Empire, the Shadow Guard Corps meets Your Majesty. The shadows half knelt on the ground and spoke. Everyone, get up. You have worked hard these days. You can go back. After saying that, the Shadow Guards disappeared again and returned to the warship one by one. Advertisement. Who are these people? Belmere asked after holding back for a long time. These are the people I have sent here to protect you over the years. They are responsible for protecting you at all times 1,000 meters away from home. Including this village, pirate ships have come a total of 13 times, but they were all sunk because of. You don't need a wake-up call. To be honest, Yang Feng himself didn't know why so many pirates came back. According to the original work, it should only be Arlong's group in the later period, but now there are waves after waves. If it weren't for his shadow guard, he would probably have all the pirates in Kokoa village. Say goodbye to the world. What? Always with us? Belmere screamed with a look of horror on his face. He felt that this was the reason why his village had not been invaded over the years. No wonder many other villages suffered accidents, but he was very safe here. By the way, the Invisible Empire you just mentioned looks so familiar. Where is it? And they also call you His Majesty. What's going on? Asked Belmere. Huh, don't you know? You shouldn't. Even if such a big thing won't be publicized to the world, it's not like no one knows about it. Yang Feng looked surprised. You don't know this. When first was in Marine, I was relatively well informed, but the bounties for many Grand Line pirates would not be distributed all over the world. Even many major events were only known to the kings and nobles of various countries. Belmere shook his head helplessly. The people of the world did not have any human rights. They were basically disconnected from the Grand Line New World. Only the masters of big forces would know this. 1.2 inches, that's it. Yang Feng suddenly understood. As for the Invisible Empire, they were familiar with it because they heard Marine talk about it. However, only the top management knew about East Blue and West Blue being given away. Thinking about it, Yang Feng felt speechless. The people in world government are really sneaky enough to block the news to this extent. By the way, you haven't told me what kind of existence the Invisible Empire is. They just called you His Majesty, right? Are you not the kind who is the crown prince of a big country in the Grand Line and inherits the throne after returning? Well, Belmere has read a lot of novels over the years. It has to be said that such bloody plots exist in any world, so now Belmere's impression of him stays here, thinking that he is a powerful prince or something like that. Advertisement. Chapter 207. The horrified Belmere, please subscribe. Advertisement. Do you really want to know what the Invisible Empire looks like? Yang Feng's face instantly became serious, but there was a hint of smile in his eyes that no one else could see. He planned to tease Belmere, and he was looking forward to waiting for Belmere's expression. What kind of existence is it? Belmere was also a little frightened by Yang Feng, and asked curiously and nervously. You'll find out soon. Gerald, bring me all the newspapers on the ship, hurry up. Yang Feng yelled at Gerald, and Gerald suddenly became depressed. Although he was very happy that His Majesty could use him, such a small thing made him look at other people's gloating expressions. I was so angry. The current senior management of the Invisible Empire can be said to be full of human touch, without any of the intrigues of the Invisible Empire in Shinigami. Everyone regards each other as their companions, and companions can naturally joke around well. You guys remember it clearly for me. I'll make it look good for you next time. In the midst of everyone's smiling expressions, Gerald quickly rose into the air with a dark face, disappeared into the air, and returned to the ship. Fly, what is this demon fruit power? Belmere pointed at Gerald and shouted, as if he had seen something extraordinary. He is not demon fruit power. When he brings the things over, you will know what the Invisible Empire looks like. Soon, Gerard brought over the newspaper and past versions of the bounty orders. Those were past bounties. Their bounties were cancelled after the war. The newspapers recorded what their Invisible Empire had done. Advertisement. The Invisible Empire defeated the Marine Admiral. The Invisible Empire defeated the world government and became another major organization in the world. The myth of celestial dragons was broken, the Invisible Empire massacred the celestial dragons, and the world government could only choose to remain silent. Wait, etc. Countless myths about the Invisible Empire were dug up by people from various newspapers, and they were all published after the Invisible Empire completely defeated the world government. In the entire first half of Grand Line and New World, it can be said that no one does not know about the Invisible Empire. The existence of the Empire, the existence of the Invisible Empire, is like a mountain pressing on everyone's hearts. Are these all your achievements in the past few years? Belmere couldn't control her mouth, and she was trembling when she spoke. To be honest, she really didn't know what to say now. These titles were very scary. From defeating the Marine Admiral at the beginning, massacring the Sky Dragons, to confronting the world government head-on, and later defeating the world government's large forces, becoming another major force in the new world. After that, Belmere took another look at the past bounty orders, but she was dazzled by the large series of numbers on them. The most obvious ones were all out of place. These bounties were all created by Marine in the past, but these things were taken back after the world government was defeated by us. These are just leftovers from the past. How about Sister Belmere, aren't you surprised? Yang Feng asked with a smirk on his face, and Belmere was still in a sluggish state at this moment. She did not doubt the existence of the Invisible Empire at all, and these newspapers could not be forged at all. Specially prepared is the reward order. It has their Marine's identification mark on it, which is not to be disclosed. Moreover, the most important point is that she feels that her brother will not lie to him. After all, these lies will be exposed as soon as they are exposed, so there is no need. These newspapers seem to be from a few years ago. Why don't you come back and read them all these years? Belmere was stunned for a while before she came back to her senses, but there was still a look of horror on her face. Advertisement. It's just a layout. After all, we don't know when the world government will rebound. Their background is not just this, so we have been making continuous layouts over the years. Now the entire new world is under our control. He couldn't help laughing when he thought about his plans over the years. If the world government dared to be tough with him this time, he would teach them what it means to be truly cruel. Are you saying that you must fight to the death with the world government? Belmere asked with some reluctance. Once the war starts, the entire sea will be in chaos. At that time, it will inevitably cause a counterattack by pirates and others, and the entire world will probably fall into chaos. That's right, even if we don't take action, the world government will take action. Sister, when you left Marine, you saw the darkness of Marine. Now Marine continues to decay and can no longer be called Marine. The world government will not allow another behemoth like them to exist. Although I don't know what they are planning, once they have the opportunity to attack the Invisible Empire, a war is inevitable. And I have been making continuous arrangements over the years. Once the war starts, I will be able to connect the new world and put it directly within the sphere of influence of our Invisible Empire. By then, it will not affect too many people. Yang Feng has long thought about 133. War is inevitable, and sacrifice is inevitable. In this case, sacrifice can only be kept to a minimum. The layout of the entire new world is basically completed once the war starts. He will launch the Shadow Realm with lightning speed to engulf various countries, and then directly abolish their armed forces, so there is no need to worry too much. After that, there will be an offensive and defensive battle. It depends on how the world government responds. As long as the world government's base camp is destroyed, he believes that Sengoku will be a smart man. I have always been unable to see through you, and now I can't see through you even more. In just a few years, you have established such a powerful empire in the new world, and you are also facing off against the world government. Belmere said a little dully that these things were still too far away for her, and she had never thought about this, that the brother she recognized would be a world-level leader. What does it have to do with it? We are a family. I recognized you as my sister back then, and telling you these things now means that I have already recognized you, otherwise I wouldn't have said so much. Yang Feng shook his head and said, as long as they are family members and companions, it is enough. As for the rest, even if the world government knows about it, what can it do? Even the old man Yamamoto can't find it in the Shadow Realm, and the world government has no such possibility. Advertisement. Chapter 208 Nami, New Ouchigao, please subscribe. Advertisement. Yes, we are all a family. By the way, Nami and Nakigao are still worried at home. Let's go back quickly. We were so happy chatting that we lost track of time. They must be very worried. Belmere suddenly remembered that she still had 2 daughters to take care of. Before, because the topic was too heavy and shocking, she had forgotten about it. Now she suddenly remembered it and said with a panicked expression. Are those 2 little girls from back then? It seems they have grown up a lot. To reiterate, I found out that I was wrong. Nokigao is 2 years older than Nami, but it was written like this before, so let's leave it at that. We apologize for the inconvenience caused. Yang Feng also thought of the 2 little babies with very cute little faces. He hadn't seen these 2 little girls for 6 or 7 years. They must have grown up. Of course they were still little kids. That's right, you have grown up. Anyway, go back quickly, and everyone else should follow me. I'm really sorry that I didn't notice you just now. Come to my house and sit down first. Belmere had already met several people from the bounty orders, so she naturally knew that these guys were ruthless. Marine Admiral said he would defeat them, and each of the bounties was terrifying. It would be difficult for her not to remember them. Ah. Then let's go. I just want to go back and see how these 2 little girls are doing. I left a little too early and I don't know if they still recognize me. After Yang Feng finished speaking, he followed Belmere and walked towards the original house, and soon everyone arrived outside the house. Nami, Nokigao, come out, it's not in danger. Belmere yelled into the house, and then heard a flurry of footsteps inside. Then as soon as the door opened, 2 little girls threw themselves into Belmere's arms. Bad Belmere, don't leave us again. Nami stared at Belmere with a pair of watery eyes. Although she was scolding Belmere, it contained worries, so Belmere was also very pleased. Although Nami was a little out of touch, she had to say that what a good girl. Advertisement. Okay, I won't leave you again, okay. By the way, I'll introduce you to some guests. After saying that, Belmere brought the two children to Yang Feng and others. I have to say that Yang Feng and others are indeed very powerful now, and they are all dressed as if they are in Shinigami. It looks like handsome, but also oppressive. You two young ladies, do you still remember me? Yang Feng became more playful and prepared to tease these two little girls, especially Nami, who was the little thief cat in the back. But now that Yang Feng was here, he naturally would not let them go to Luffy's boat. Brother, you look so familiar, but I just don't remember who you are. Both little girls have a certain impression of Yang Feng, which was left over from when they were young. Yang Feng was the one who hugged the two little girls for several months, so it is normal for them to feel familiar. Two little fools, he is the younger brother I often mention to you, also your uncle, hurry up and say hello to your uncle. Belmere couldn't help but laugh. It was indeed very interesting to see the two little Lolitas' confused expressions. Ah, I remembered, I've met you before, it turns out you are my uncle, but you don't look very old. How about calling me brother? Nami said with a weird look, but was quickly suppressed by Belmere. Forget it, Sister Belmere, let's go our separate ways. Besides, you picked them up at the beginning. It seems that we have no blood relationship at all. Yang Feng couldn't help but laugh and said, as for whether it was picked up, he was not worried that children in this world would not be able to bear it. They were all optimists, so it didn't matter what they picked up, as long as they had a warm home, it was enough. Okay, I really can't do anything to you. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to cook. Advertisement. Belmere said with a speechless face, and then walked towards the kitchen, followed by a small group of people, such as Bambietta and Baby 5, who all stepped in to help in order to win the favor of their elder sister. Then came the sugar, Monet and Robin, but the sugar was thrown out quickly. The reason is very simple, you are too young, so you should play outside. So Sugar was dumbfounded. Although she didn't look that big, she was still a teenager after so many years. It's just that her body couldn't grow, but her heart was strong. But there was no time to explain to her here, so she could only come to Yang Feng gloomily. But after thinking about it carefully, she found out that she was not at a disadvantage. Now there is no one around Yang Feng, only two real brats. So she touched it. And he quickly got into a ball with the two sisters and started playing with Yang Feng, which made the people who had prepared the food yell and scream, and the whole room was in a state of excitement. Barrow and the others were very interesting. I left for a while and was so bored. A woman is like 500 ducks. How many there are here is still a question, so one by one they left very wisely. Of course, there were 10 people who wanted to watch the fun but were knocked out by the bomb in Aida's hand. By the way, Sister Belmere, I am here to pick you up this time. It is not very safe to stay here. The world government will extend its fangs to us sooner or later. Once it is known that you continue to live here, I will attack you. Quote. While eating, Yang Feng expressed his plan. After all, this was his weakness. He didn't want anyone to hurt his relatives, so he planned to pick up Belmere and others together this time, so that he wouldn't have to Zhao Qian worry too much. It's all up to you. Belmere didn't say much. Originally, he was very fond of this village, but after thinking that Yang Feng had established such a large team, he could only nod. After all, there are many things in this world that are helpless, such as now. She didn't want to hold Yang Feng back because of herself and others, so she agreed. After Yang Feng took over the world government, they could still come back to live, so it was just a long trip. After the affairs of Belmere and others were settled, Yang Feng set his sights on the Vinsmoke family. It happened that he didn't have a chef on the ship, so it would be good if he brought Sanji in. 0. Although this boy is a bit lustful, I have to say that his talent is very good, his desire for cooking, and his filial piety are also recognized by Yang Feng. In this case, let's help him. Advertisement. Chapter 209 The Actions of the Vinsmoke Family. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Your Majesty, we just received news that we can no longer contact the ships guarding the entrance to the Grand Line in East Blue. In this case, there is only one possibility, that is, they have been killed. On a huge Germa 66 snail ship, in a relatively magnificent castle, Vinsmoke Judge was sitting on the main seat, and an intelligence officer below him was half kneeling to report the situation to him. What? Someone dares to provoke our Vinsmoke family. Have you lived enough? Do you know who did it? Judge glared, and his face darkened. He dared to fight with the Vinsmoke family. This was something that even many children in the first half of the Grand Line did not dare to do, so he was so arrogant. Judge has always taken war and strength as his goals. For him, war represents everything. Only war can make him feel happy, especially the pleasure of the government, which makes him unbearable. He even transformed all 5 of his children into genetically modified people, and this transformation also had certain side effects. One was that the modified people, such as Sanji's older brothers, lacked emotions. Of course, his 213 sister Reiju still retains a lot of family affection, maybe because she is a girl. Women are naturally much stronger emotionally than men, and Reiju, as a sister, also loves and protects Sanji, his mother's only support. Only Sanji has not been genetically modified, so Sanji has always had his own feelings. When he was under Luffy, his strength had surpassed several members of his family, but he was still threatened. Otherwise, he could kill several of his brothers alone. Even his father, Judge, was no match for him. It was all because of his emotions that he chose to compromise. At this moment, Judge's self-confidence has increased after conquering North Blue, and he believes that his strength can compete with the world government. In addition, East Blue has not seen any trace of the Invisible Empire for so many years. So this guy brought people here. He wanted to turn East Blue into his war reserve. He was a complete war madman. Now that someone dared to provoke the Vinsmoke family, he naturally couldn't bear it. No, not clear, there are no clues left, and we are currently carrying out a devastating blow to East Blue's kingdom, so we cannot separate others to check. Advertisement. The man half kneeling on the ground broke into a cold sweat. Generally speaking, artificial genetic humans were used for fighting and had low intelligence. Only a small number of them with good intelligence became the dogs of the Vinsmoke family, and they were recruited from outside. No one even knows what use you are. The Vinsmoke family doesn't raise idle people, so go to hell. Judge stood up directly and kicked the intelligence officer away. The intelligence officer's body hit the wall and was embedded in it. He was dead before his eyes. How dare you take action against our Vinsmoke family? I will settle the score with you after I finish what I am doing. However, these people from East Blue are really tenacious. They have resisted my attack for so long. Judge is also a little surprised about East Blue, but this guy is also mindless. Garp's grandson is still here. If he dares to affect Garp's family, then unfortunately you have to wait for death. Garp doesn't care about this, he is definitely the first time to kill him. Of course, the same is true for Dorag. Luffy is his son after all, so he will naturally not let his son have an accident. Once anyone dares to take action against his son, he will not be able to survive. Someone is coming. Judge yelled outside, and then a group of people came in. Get this garbage away from me. How is Sanji's condition? Judge asked after returning to his seat. ABFA, I'm so sorry, Your Majesty Judge, His Highness Sanji's qualifications are indeed ordinary people, even after being imprisoned for such a long time, so he should just be an incompetent person. A scientist said helplessly that he was the person in charge of genes, but Sanji was no different from an ordinary person, so he was naturally a little dissatisfied. In fact, these guys were on the wrong track from the beginning. Advertisement. Judge is an idiot. Look at the strongest people in the ocean who are genetically modified. They can't even fully develop their own bodies and are trying to introduce other species. This is simply the behavior of a fool. But Judge regards it as the hope for the rise of his family. They may be very good when they are children, but then their growth will become slower and slower, and they will not be able to compare with others at all, because their infinite possibilities have been destroyed and they are destined to that's all. It failed. In this case, let him stay in the cell for the rest of his life. As my child, he is incompetent. Judge said with disdain. In his opinion, his sons should be as powerful as the others and have great potential, but Sanji directly disappointed him. Your Majesty, in fact, if genetic research continues to advance in the future, you can still inject His Highness Sanji, but the current technology is still limited, so we can only wait until later. The scientist spoke. No need, waste will always be waste. Since it is waste now, it will definitely be waste in the future. Don't worry about this waste. Let's just start attacking. When the artificial man is completely successful, I will tell East Blue what is real strength. Judge has been completely disappointed with Sanji and doesn't want to think about this son who disappointed him. He would rather not have this son. Now his focus is still on attacking East Blue. However, their conversation was completely listened to by a dark figure in the corner, and then the dark figure left in a hurry, and this dark figure was naturally his daughter Reiju. Although this person has been transformed, her feelings are relatively intact, and she often takes care of Sanji. Because this is a reflection of her mother and her mother's hard work, she is particularly good to Sanji. Now when she heard these words, her first thought was to let Sanji go. She was helpless about this. When she was with her mother, she kept listening to her mother's praise and high hopes for Sanji, so she gradually put aside her love for her mother. Sanji's body. That's why Reiju became like this, otherwise she probably wouldn't show any good expressions to Sanji. Advertisement. Chapter 210 Sad Sanji, please subscribe. Advertisement. After Reiju left, he quickly came to the place where Sanji was imprisoned. At this moment, Sanji was still reading a book, and there was a huge iron helmet on his head, which could not be removed except when eating. Sanji, do you really plan to stay here for the rest of your life? Reiju came to Sanji and asked with a heartbroken look. Looking at this brother who had high hopes for her mother, she didn't know what to say. What does it matter? I can see so many cooking books here. I believe that my father will let me out after his anger subsides. Sanji looked at Reiju and said. His eyes were full of desire for cooking knowledge. This kind of emotional look was something Reiju could not see in this place. She also understood very well why her mother regarded Sanji as a treasure. Yes. But Sanji, you know what? That man isn't going to let you out, he's going to keep you here, for the rest of your life. Reiju's eyes flashed with a trace of guilt, heartache and a trace of determination. It's impossible. He is my hungry father after all. He won't be so heartless. Sanji didn't believe it, but the constant trembling of his hands betrayed his heart. He knew that his sister would not deceive him, which meant that Judge really planned to lock him here for the rest of his life. Your heart has betrayed you, Sanji, do you want to get out? Or what are you going to do after you get out? Reiju asked. Of course I do. I am looking forward to the blue sea. I will find the cooking ingredients I want and reach the top of the chef's list. Sanji said with a longing look on his face. He was very yearning for and looking forward to the outside world, and he was full of hope for the sea. That's it. Reiju's head lowered, not knowing what he was thinking about, while Sanji continued to read his book, but his heart kept twitching when he thought that he had to stay here for the rest of his life. Advertisement. His arms were constantly shaking, and tears were constantly leaking from his iron helmet, which showed how desperate he was now. Creak. Just when Sanji felt desperate, a huge sound of steel stretching came. Sanji looked up in confusion and found something that surprised him. His sister Reiju actually opened the cage with a huge breath, and the two iron bars in the middle showed a strange arc to both sides. It was hard to imagine that a little girl could have such brute strength. Sister, what are you doing? Sanji was stunned and asked dully. Stop talking nonsense and escape from here quickly. Now my father has brought us to East Blue and plans to start a war in East Blue, so this is your only chance. This is East Blue, not North Blue. If you can escape from here if you go, father will definitely not be able to find you. Reiju said, and her eyes were filled with tears, because her favorite brother was about to leave her, and the child who was entrusted by her mother was about to leave. But, in this case, sister, you. Sanji wanted to say something else, but was immediately interrupted by Reiju. Leave quickly. I am a successful genetic experiment subject. My father will not lose his temper with me because of you. Anyway, please leave quickly. After saying that, Reiju ran away, completely ignoring Sanji's yelling behind him. Sanji also fell silent, knowing what his sister had done for him. As for the iron helmet, he should continue to think of a solution after he gets out. Now Sanji's idea is to get out as soon as possible. Along the way, Sanji saw the person who was knocked unconscious by his sister. It can be said that these guards are no match for Reiju. Sanji, how did you get out? Suddenly, Sanji met the person he least wanted to meet, his father Judge, and Judge was surprised that this good-for-nothing son could escape from the cage because Sanji actually ran out. Advertisement. But when he thought about it carefully, he felt relieved. He was probably released by his daughter. He knew that his daughter loved this good-for-nothing brother the most. Father, me. Sanji didn't know what to say. He felt that he would be arrested again and his sister would be implicated. Sanji, you can leave if you want, but after you leave, don't say that you are from the Vinsmoke family. You don't deserve to have this surname. From now on, you will be called Sanji, not Vinsmoke Sanji. You don't deserve to have this surname. Zero request flowers. After saying that, Judge left, not daring Sanji at all, and even asked someone to take off his iron helmet, and Sanji finally knew that Judge had completely given up on him. This is East Blue, not North Blue. When Sanji appears here, no one will think of the Vinsmoke family, so as long as he does not use this name, it will naturally not discredit the Vinsmoke family. He is eager to eliminate this shortcoming. Of course, maybe it's because Judge still has a little bit of family affection, so he didn't kill Sanji directly, but let him fend for himself. In the end, Sanji left with tears on his face and rowed a small boat. His sister Reiju looked at him from another place, also with tears on her face. It can be said that this is still a very tragic thing. However, when the other sons learned about this incident, they would only show expressions of gloating and so on, but would not feel sorry for Sanji or feel pity and so on. They are all transformed people who have lost their emotions as human beings, and family love is nothing to them. In this way, Sanji left Germa 66 alone, and there was nothing on his ship. Even if Judge let him leave, how could he leave so-called food on him? In the end, Sanji rowed a boat to an isolated island, but the boat capsized due to big waves, so he could only live on this desert island. Then he met red-footed Zapu, the man who changed his destiny. At this moment, the Vinsmoke family has begun to take action. After all preparations are made, they plan to start a full-scale war. East Blue is not very strong. But with their large numbers, it is good that the Vinsmoke family can suppress them in the face of so many countries. If they want to defeat them, they have to pay a big price, and at this moment, a top warship has set off from the naval headquarters. This warship naturally belongs to Garp. East Blue is his hometown and he cannot let the Vinsmoke family mess around, so he plans to go back to East Blue too. Advertisement.